Yeah, and it shows green, but
We are live.
Okay, Michelle, can you hear us? Michelle? So we might not be on connected here,
Let
but
me
she
go.
can't hear us. Right, Leon.
Oh, mine up there. I'll be back.
I snuck it in.
I don't want to mess this up, so I don't want to. I see the little red lights on that receiver. How's it going?
I just got off,
This is my older son.
One of them, right?
You met the other one, but not that.
it was Sunday night. I got off quarantine. We got a doctor, but everything doesn't matter.
I thought he was here to make something about the city.
Don't
He
get
was
us
started
started,
on that
please.
side, because I haven't seen him.
What? I missed it.
I thought he was here to make a complaint about the city.
Oh, yeah.
Come see him, don't.
He's here to complain against me, I think.
Got it too warm.
Yep. Oh, got it right
Now, who's this lady from?
She's Wavy Cog.
Oh, okay.
Wavy Cog.
And she's also part of the crime lab? Oh, yeah, it does say there, Yakima Valley Conference.
What's your MOS?
Infantry.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so I'm really cool.
Yep, I guess so.
Were you in the military?
That was 23 and radar computer repairman, 19.
Where were you stationed at it?
Hello.
Missouri, Northern Arsenal, Alabama, and Korea.
Oh, okay.
Wash me up.
I like Korea.
I heard it's pretty cool there too.
Yeah, it was nice.
How you been?
I got,
Feeling?
we were from the DMZ on south. We had,
They schedule my surgery.
57 batteries we had to maintain.
Yeah.
We would just direct support
In a week.
we just drive up and down.
Next week, CBS, yeah, they said.
And the other day, in fact, I got on and I was looking at the map and none of the places looked the same.
Really?
Yeah, that's what everybody
Really
said.
changed.
It'll help me.
Before,
Mayor, we're live.
Okay, can you hear me over there? Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Vicky?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So we have a
Okay.
few minutes before we can actually get started, so we just gotta really watch what we say because we are live already. So we got 2 minutes.
Were you able to hear the video when I was playing to test? You can? Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
The only thing that's been happening has been the,
yeah.
that's about the only real thing. At like 4 in the morning, at all times.
Yeah, well, before that, because sometimes I get up at 4 and I go outside, and I don't hear nothing. It's a good time. I don't even hear the dog barking. Yeah, really?
Ours, but the neighbors. I don't think it's sort of slow, they bark all the time.
You would think they would.
I I'm just constantly, I don't know how to keep it up.
I haven't seen the attorney on there.
No, not yet. I wonder if he's at work yet. When he came back. It's Christmas vacation, Christmas vacation.
None of these seem to be, I mean, they're on, but, and the thing's on over there, but you can't hear us.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me? No,
Just your own voice, but about the same.
not on the mic.
You have to talk to me.
I think it works out.
Hello, testing.
Okay.
Testing, yeah.
Hello, hello.
Testing.
We're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:01 PM. For Tuesday, December 27th, 2022. No old business. We're gonna go ahead and go on to number 3. Discussion of ordinance 2022-1180, an ordinance of the city of Mapton amending garbage rates for the year 2023 on page 9 through 12.
This one's about M8 housing.
What's that?
What's in the real
On
one?
the study session for December 22, on 3.
27?
This is the first page.
Yeah, the
Measure
M8.
12 is,
M8
garbage.
housing.
Well, no,
Yeah,
number
come on,
9
wait.
is Yakima Waste.
Yeah, come on, wait,
Yeah.
the one I have.
You said your measure 12 was for the,
Yeah, it says,
oh, okay, garbage.
page
collection.
the other one.
That
There you go.
one.
They do this every year anyway.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
It's a yearly
Yeah,
thing.
so-
That's a yearly thing.
Yeah, so,
So, anybody have any questions?
Did the rates stay the same, or did they change?
well, they always go up.
Do you know what they are?
I think it's
That should be
60.
in the next one. Right here.
Right here on the next
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the 48 gallon for seniors, the current rate 7.38, it went up 22 cents,
Yeah,
so it'll be 7.60. The billing of 80% will be 7.60. And then city will get 20%, or the city 20%, so it's a total of what, $9.12? I'm correct, right?
That's what we charge, is $9.12.
So do we have the 96 gallon, is that the one we have there?
Oh, no, it's, no, the 48.
We have the 48.
We have the 48 gallon, oh, okay.
So the seniors have the same one we have?
We have the 96 gallon. The residents have 96, seniors have the 48.
That's what I thought, because,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I said it was 96. Okay.
Any more questions?
I have a question. In the budget meeting that we had in November, October, somewhere in there over there at the city hall, people did come up with, are you guys checking into how much a truck would cost?
Yeah, they're,
And
more
stuff like that?
expensive.
yeah, they're over 100, some 200,000, so. And right now, we just don't have that, so.
We had one years and years and years ago. but
Yeah,
it's
and
been
then-
long.
Yeah, and then that's when like we had Gilbert and Dan and them, they would pick up all the garbage back then, wasn't it, Judy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then you had to get 3 people,
Mhm.
the driver and 2 guys in
To
the
the
back, so. Then with these automatic lifts, they're more expensive.
yeah, and even at that, they leave half the garbage on the ground.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, okay, we're gonna go ahead and go on to B, discussion of resolution 2022-27. Resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the Washington State Transportation Improvement or Fuel Tax Grant Agreement, which is on page 13 through 21. This is to fix the cracks in the streets.
Yeah.
And this is money, free money, right? Money?
Yes.
We call it free money, so we don't have to pay this money back, it's my understanding. So we signed on this. No, we have not signed on this. Any questions?
We don't have to pay nothing back.
No, it's in the amount of 105,510 for that.
They don't have any questions, we'll go ahead.
They're gonna provide the equipment or what?
I would assume yes, because we do not have the equipment.
I don't know. Huh? They come and drop the trailer off and the city crew does it, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we can look into that, because this would be Marty's first year doing that and mine as well, so we can look into that, Marty. So, note.
Yeah, they would just bring the machine in for the spread solution on the crack.
Do you know when the last time it was done?
2 years ago?
And that's what they did? They just left the equipment?
Yeah, they would come park it in the back.
Okay.
And I think we had to purchase, the city had to purchase the solution, the liquid to put on the crack.
So we can look into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's nothing more on that. We'll go ahead and go on to D. Let's see, discussion of resolution 2022-28, a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a contract with Yakima Valley Conference of Government for technical assistance, which was on page 22 to 25. And I believe this is where,
For the yearly.
yeah.
Excuse me, did you say yearly amount or?
This is a contract that's done yearly.
Hi, Bill.
Right, but number 4 of the contract is blank on the dollar amount, so I thought maybe somebody said the amount, but
No, it's just something we do yearly, and it just depends on how much projects we have throughout the time and how much assistance we need from them.
well, number 4 has a maximum amount to fill in and it's not filled in, so.
So do we-
Page 23.
We can reach out to them.
Yeah, so we'll reach out to Jamin about that. Or I don't know, maybe, I don't know if that's something Vicky could answer for us since she's on the screen.
Is this the YBCOG annual assessment for just the planning,
Yeah,
Yes.
the normal planning stuff. Yeah, I don't have that amount. The normal amount that you would have for a maximum would be in your budget, I assume. And then you're right, we do bill based on the usage. So if the planner, he just charges by the hour based on what you need is kind of how that works, is my understanding. And I can definitely have, more information given to you if you need more detail, but I think it's probably the same amount as last year. I don't have it in front of me, though. I would have to go look.
We can,
Is it
look-
the same contract every year?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So last year, I don't know what the amount was for last year if your budget changed.
We'll go ahead and we'll look into it, and then we'll get numbers back to the council, with an estimate of what we spent this last year. But it's gonna change yearly, just depending on what we have being done and how many times we use them. Okay? So if there's no more questions on that, we'll go to D. Discussion of resolution 2022-29, a resolution of the city of Mapleton, Washington, authorizing the mayor to sign a professional service agreement with the Yakima Valley Conference of Governments for the Yakima Valley Local Crime Lab, page 26 through 40. So we have Vicki here to talk to us about that.
Yes, I am here, and the sheriff is here as well on the screen there, and he can chime in and answer any questions as we go through it. I do have a presentation to share, and hopefully it will work. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, are you seeing it up on the screen? Okay, so everybody I think knows, but just for review, the COG was formed in 1966, and it's for anything of regional concern that all of the valley is concerned about. And definitely right now, crime has been something that every jurisdiction has identified as a concern. And so this program was put together to assist everyone. Let's see if I can get this to move. Okay, these are just some of the partners that we have been working with all year long. Some of the agencies that support the program or have helped us enhance it in some way. Some of the partners who've signed on already, you see the prosecutor and the commissioners, the coroner, the chamber up here. There are chambers across the valley. We want to work with everybody and support lower crime rates for our valley. We know that helps everyone. It helps property values. It helps our insurance rates. There's a million reasons why it's the right thing to do. But this is just some of our folks we've been working with. How this all started, your chief is probably aware, it happened at the beginning of this year. We got together with all of our law enforcement agencies across the whole valley, and we sat down with the chiefs, and we had a grant from Commerce to do this, to re-engage the communities with law enforcement, rebuild those partnerships that were kind of lost during COVID. And so our staff went out and popped up at events across the whole valley and supported it wherever we possibly could, anything in your communities to get everybody kind of out and working with law enforcement again. In that process, though, we learned about a lot of gaps and a lot of problems. This is a chart that shows the hidden costs of a shooting, and this is something that I had never really thought about before this project, but whenever there's a homicide, it costs about $1.4 million in stuff you wouldn't think about. Everything from the police response and the cleanup of the scene, the fire and EMT transport, gunshot surgeries, investigation, public defender, court process, incarceration, medical examiners, victims of crime, social service benefits, and lost tax revenue is a lot of money. That is an estimate out of Portland, Oregon. It's different for Yakima, but it just gives you an idea of what we pay for as taxpayers in hidden costs of crime. Just one homicide, and I think the sheriff is here. How many homicides have we had this year? Oh, I can't hear you, Bob. Is he muted there? Uh-oh. Well, we can't hear you, Bob. Okay. I think it's 37 I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah, okay. So that's a lot at 1.4 million. That's a super rough, not accurate estimate, but it shows the amount of money that we're paying as cities, as the county, and as the taxpayers for all these things. And then it has a budget for the program in 2023 based on the people who so far have committed. You see Yakima's not in there, and the other cities who are right now in there. And the total cost of the program is in 2023 about $150,000. Compared to the millions of dollars that we're spending, we just feel like it's a really good value for our valley to help fight crime. And I don't know if anybody in the office can help Bob get sound if he's muted on your end. I can't hear you at all, Bob. Okay, so next I want to just kind of go through what it is, because a lot of people don't know what.
Test.
Oh, I can hear you now, Bob.
All right.
Okay, how many members was it? Was I right?
Yeah, I
30.
can't hear him either. He's not muted on this side.
Next, I
Yep.
want to just kind of go. Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. So 36 homicides in Yakima County. And what makes that even worse than what it sounds like is that still almost the majority of them were in unincorporated Yakima County. They were all over the place. It wasn't like in one neighborhood in Yakima or one place in the Lower Valley. It's everywhere. And it's a symptom of bigger issues in our county. And for perspective, 36 homicides in Yakima County. Seattle, before just the last couple of years where they've had obviously a lot of upheaval, they were averaging 25. A lot more people in Seattle, much more complex society, and they were averaging 10 less homicides than what we've been getting lately. So that it shows you the magnitude of that issue.
Well, this project is intended to work on that for our whole region in collaboration together, all of our cities working towards solving some of these crimes that have been hard for us, because these folks travel, right, Bob? I know that they don't stay in one place. Typically, you see crime moving across the valley.
Absolutely. Yep. We've tracked crimes all the way from Prosser to Natchez. Often we know the same criminals. So working together is actually probably the only way we're going to get our thumb on this issue.
Okay, so what it will do, I have some videos, and as long as they are able to play there in the council chambers, you'll be able to hear them, and they kind of demonstrate some of the different pieces of equipment that the analysts have that when we get them hired, they will be trained to use. But it will be collecting data and statistics from our county-wide across all the jurisdictions that are participating. It's going to have forensic experts who will be trained in a program called NIBIN, and I'm going to show you what that is. It takes bullet casings and it puts them in a machine that links them with the national database. And that can help us really paint the picture for what, did I lose Chambers? I don't see them anymore. Do you see council?
I see this.
Yeah, it looks like you lost them.
I do apologize. It looks like city council is no longer a part of the meeting.
Oh, no.
Let me find out what's going on.
Okay. Technical difficulties.
Well, at
We've
least
had a few of those.
you can hear me now.
I can hear you, Bob. You're the one they want to
So
hear
it
from.
looks like the council meeting computer decided to update in the middle of our session. I do apologize.
Oh,
We will be
geez.
back with you shortly.
Holy cow.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
That's okay. So hopefully that's quick. I don't know.
Hmm. So I look a little funky, don't I?
Well, you look like you're definitely doing your job out looking for
Oh, see,
criminals.
there it goes.
No, it's all good. I do have a question for you as the attorney. Did you have any questions about our agreement or anything I can answer?
Only about the numbers, the chart that was in, and I don't know if you changed the numbers in the one that you just displayed, but it's at
Yeah.
page 36 of our packet, and that appeared to count Yakima, city of Yakima, in how the fees would be distributed by Yakima, city of Yakima not being in it any longer. Does their share get passed on to the others, and therefore we have to use a different percentage for Mabton?
No.
Oh, okay.
What we did was couple things. One, and I can answer this for council too when we get going, but when Yakima decided not to participate, we had kind of anticipated the staffing needs based on their crime. They have a huge number compared to everybody else. And so this program was put together with their volume in mind, and without them, we're going to have a very robust program that actually will be a little more helpful to the little cities, which is great. And I'm sure the sheriff is thrilled. He's going to be getting a lot more service, and Yakima would have been very labor intensive for us. So I think that will be a positive thing for the rest of the valley. And then in the end, I think they'll decide to come on board, I think, and it won't take long, I don't think, for them to find the value in it. But as of right now, they're not. And so what we did was we left the numbers the same, and we're going to adjust the program accordingly. We're not going to change the cost to the jurisdictions.
Okay.
So if that means we have 3 people instead of 4, we have, scale up in the technology slower, but they, or less training or at first, or how that looks is going to be how we work the budget. Oh, we're back. Can you guys hear me? Maybe not yet. Maybe they're frozen.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now? Are you ready for me?
Yes, we are.
Okay, let me get back to where I was. Okay. So I was explaining the bullet casings. Did you hear that part?
No.
So our 2 of our employees will be trained to take those bullet casings that will be all over the valley and run them into this machine and put us on the national database. The rest of the staff in there will be able to do computer forensic work. We have criminal mapping that will be a huge piece of the puzzle, and the analysts that show, where the heat map is, where the hot areas of crime are, and help the sheriff kind of direct his patrols, and all the jurisdictions kind of understand what's going on. And coordination will happen, information will come out from a central location, and the analysts will be looking at it for the whole valley, all the different jurisdictions. Later on in the project, we'll have rapid DNA, which we're going to demonstrate, but it is definitely phase 2. We're going to scale up into the firearms part of the program first, because we have a definite need for that here. And we'll work in the computer forensic world and the crime analysis part for the first couple of years. So I'm going to show a video, and hopefully you can hear this. Somebody wave their arms if they can hear it.
Hey everyone, new at 6, this simple looking computer system is getting credit from police for helping curb shootings in Cincinnati.
It certainly is. Not on Your Side is profiling the ways that police are working to keep your family safe. Tom McKee shows us how a database is linking guns to suspected shooters.
This is the Cincinnati Police NIBIN system. This computer may not look like much, but in the past 18 months, it's already the #1 tool in helping to solve shooting cases in the Queen City. The Queen City Square shooting in 2016 prompted the purchase. Detective Robin Upchurch took shell casings to a NIBIN machine in Dayton. It tied them to a weapon Rayshon Harold used in a Mount Auburn gun battle.
Now we have an arrest for something that terrified our downtown residents.
Assistant Chief Paul Newdigate says the most recent success was November's shooting of James Back on the Taylor Southgate Bridge.
Found in critical condition, no witnesses, no suspects.
Detective Upchurch again found a shell casing in mud and took it to Niben. Weeks later, a gun was found in a high school locker.
That gun recovered at the high school was used in that shooting.
Normal protocol is test firing a gun and collecting shell casings and bullets.
Yeah, this is just like a fingerprint that the firearm leaves on the casing.
Analysts like Officer Chris Vogelpohl examine it and enter pertinent data in a federal ATF database. Pictures are taken and it's all sent to a correlation center in Alabama.
They'll let us know if the casings that we put in match up with anyone else in our region.
Sergeant Don Scalf says the goal is leads in 48 to 72 hours.
If it's an urgent case, we can always call down to the correlation center and we can have an answer within a couple hours.
So far, confirmed correlations number 700, at least one a week.
So you can imagine how excited the homicide detectives are to get that huge critical break and know that a gun used in one of their offenses was in someone's possession.
Niben is one tool that helped reduce shootings from 479 in 2015 to 410 last year. Another is ShotSpotter, which helps officers respond more quickly.
I think the next big piece, and we already have it, but we need to expand upon it, is our camera network.
The bottom line here is the department is not using just arrests to solve cases. It's data-driven, technology-driven, but the most important element is cooperation from the community to solve the cases and make the streets safer for everyone. Tom McKee, Not on Your Side, Queensgate.
Everyone do it.
Okay, so that program locally means speed for us. What we've been doing here, Niben, is something they have at the Washington State Patrol Crime Lab. And so typically, depending on the jurisdiction, you would put your bullets in a FedEx and you'd send them off to the lab and you'd wait. And what we look to do is be able to turn these around really quickly so that your detectives and Bob's detectives and all the region will have a really quick turnaround so they can go straight to the cameras and to the witnesses right away. That's just really important when you're putting together a case, is that you have it quickly. Those things, people just forget those details. Is that right? I don't know if you want to chime in on this part, Bob, but it feels like, when you wait at the crime lab, it really is harder to put it together later.
Oh yeah, with the Niben right now, it takes a week probably to get the casing to the lab, and another week before we get any sorts of results back. And in a lot of cases, we'd like to know just as fast as we can. Just like the detective said in that video, having the results in a couple hours, that's huge, man, in knowing which way we're going to work a crime.
So this piece of equipment on the screen now, this is over at the patrol. It's a microscope that is used for comparison of bullet casings. And this is something that we will scale up and use here. It'll help us triage a little bit more cases for the Washington State Patrol. What we are intending to do here is get that fast turnaround to our locals, like we were talking about for prosecution and for picking folks up. But we also want to limit the amount of time that the state crime lab is dealing with little trivial day-to-day stuff, like finding a bullet casing that shot a stop sign, ending up in the same bin with something that was in a murder case. And it slows down the turnaround time for the really important stuff. Our goal is to have the crime lab be able to focus on actual casework so that we can do this triage for them here. This is a video about the crime mapping software that we have got here to link the region together. And your chief knows we use Spillman already. Spillman is a computer program that pulls data out of 911. This will take that data and put it into a mapping application. And I'll show you some, this video will demonstrate what it looks like.
I always tell people that Baton Rouge is a mid-sized city with big city problems. In 2016, there was an assault on the local police, and one of the officers killed was my cousin. that drove me to get in touch with the police department and ultimately provide assistance where I could with my knowledge of GIS. Esri's dashboards, overall, it's a paradigm shift in how policing is done. Putting the information into the hands of the people that need it when they need it. Really giving them the opportunity to proactively police and reduce violent crime instantaneously. One of the first dashboards that we made was the daily operations. That's open and active 911 calls. It's also your active vehicle location, so where the officers are. It allows commanders to see where their resources are, where the incidents are occurring in real time, and how to respond best. The COP dashboard was built with the intention of the weekly commanders meeting. When Chief Paul talks to his district commanders, each commander can highlight what operations they've been doing and what effect that has had. Is this working? Should we keep doing it? Or maybe try something else? It's been used as far as just directing patrols, but also with large-scale operations. The risk-based policing dashboard uses the risk terrain model to really understand what's the crime attractors within a community. When we run the model, you get your areas of elevated risk of crime. This really helps understand what's attracting crime to these hotspots and what's making them persist over time. Once you make that area unattractive to the criminal element, where they're doing directed patrols at the highest risk locations, you're reducing the risk of crime happening there before it has even had a chance to recur. Whereas traditional policing methods, you have to wait for a string of burglaries to occur before you can respond to them. It's helping drive department policy. It's getting ready to be added to the police academy. The capabilities of the police department have been greatly enhanced in ways that were never possible before.
Okay, so that is pretty amazing for our valley. Yakima has that software and uses it. And the rest of us would love to have that level of information. And I think the sheriff is working right now on putting together, it's called a PROACT team, but it's a group that could be led by that type of information. Having analysts put together those risk places and along layered with other information, we can, have our analysts work on the program, whether it's the computer forensics or whatever other aspects lead them to a certain area or a certain project. Bob can talk about how that might be useful with this software with his team.
Yeah, absolutely. It, right now, when we're out there driving around wondering where we should go, we generally just respond to stuff after people call us. And then it's just too stinking late. Instead, we need to be on top of it. And like that video said, that the software, once you get the information into it, starts predicting where we should be. And while, especially a lot of us old cops, we kind of know where we need to be. We know where those with making the bad choices live. It's nice to have it backed up for all of us. Information that we can share across the county on where we need to be. Doesn't matter the town, the city, or out in the county. All of us need to know where to be. And this is the ticket. This is modern policing at its finest right here.
What's nice is that it's individual for each city. So your chief can use it how he wants to use it. The dashboard can be customized for each city as well. Those are things that we'll work on as a team together as we put this together in starting in January. This is a video about the digital forensics program that we're getting ready to do. Here it is.
In recent times with COVID response, it's become even a bigger problem as children are at home because they're not in school, adults are at home because they're not working, and then now they're mashed together on the internet.
more and more the internet is being used by offenders because they can hide behind the anonymity of the internet to reach out to children in chat forums or social media networks.
A study by Purdue University in 2017 says that 1 out of 25 children will experience solicitation online.
You got 20 or 30 cases sitting on your desk. Every single one of them are good cases. Every single one of them could lead to the recovery of a child or children. Where do you start? How do you prioritize one case over another case?
Currently, the biggest challenge we come across is really just the sheer volume, both of devices, but also the amount of data that's on those devices. Secondarily, it's now getting at the content on many of the devices. The security for individual devices has become a lot stronger. It's tougher to get into them, and tools like Cellebrite are out there right now helping us do just that and get onto the devices to get at that data and then put it into a format that's useful for us to analyze.
Some of the biggest challenges that we have in addressing these internet crimes against children are the multiple steps of investigations that we have to take. The multiple search warrants to electronic service providers, to internet service providers, and then going through all of that data that comes back. The technologies that Cellebrite offers is a way for us to go through that process in a more efficient manner. It attempts to identify illegal activity and potentially identify these kids and who's preying on them or what's occurred to them.
That part of the program is some of the chiefs have identified as being the huge priority for them. And I think Sheriff probably wants to say something about this too.
Yeah,
because it is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, this is a big deal. You know, every single one of us has a cell phone, as do the criminals, and they always have it in their pocket when they're doing something they shouldn't. And so getting into their cell phones is a big part of good investigations. But across this county, we have very, very limited ability to do so. I have one detective that can get into Cellebrite, and he's tasked with lots of other cases as well. So we only do it on the very most biggest cases when we really should be doing it across the board and providing us that good, consistent evidence. This gives everybody in the county a fantastic resource, way beyond what a lot of the agencies are doing today.
Okay. And I have one last one, which is about the rapid DNA. This video is pretty powerful, what they can do in this state. Washington State is a little different. So we're working on how it will work in the state of Washington. That's some of the reason why we're putting this in phase 2 as well, is the legislature is just now doing a pilot program on rapid DNA in the state of Washington. We'll see how that pans out, but this is what the machine can do. It's very powerful.
In 2017, a brutal quadruple homicide rocked Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Law enforcement officials turned to Applied Biosystems' Rapid Hit ID system from Thermo Fisher Scientific to identify the victims and bring closure to the families. Bucks County continues to use this technology on a daily basis to catch criminals, exonerate the innocent, and keep the community safe.
When you have 4 missing boys, when you have killer or killers on the loose still, every second counts. I think the sheer speed, 90 minutes, which is really unheard of for law enforcement. The only people that do DNA 90 minutes is television, but not anymore. You know, we're doing it right here in Bensalem, you know, a town right outside of Philadelphia, to be able to bring closure for identification purposes to the family and to be able to link, you know, the blood from a object to the crime scene to the victim is priceless. When you use rapid hit and you use DNA every day, and that's what we do here, we use DNA every day, you stop crime in its track. You stop crime at that lower level. When we lock somebody up at 2 o'clock in the morning for loitering and prowling in somebody's front yard, chances are that person, even arrested, wouldn't go to jail that night. But now, when we get that person in custody and we run them through the rapid machine and they hit to 3 burglaries, they're launched, they're off the streets. In 91 minutes, their crime spree is over and they're done and they're in custody, and at 92 minutes, there's one less victim out there.
So that does not work that way in the state of Washington right now. It is definitely something that, Bob and I are going to be talking to legislators about, how we can have our program scale up to be a test for this in the state. The patrol is doing it right now, but I think they have a different role. They are the crime lab. We're looking at being a triage and investigation sort of level. And it's a different thing, but this gives you the idea. The 90 minutes and how it works is extremely powerful for public safety. These are the numbers, and this is where we get into the money. So these pieces of equipment are very expensive. That's why we wrote a grant to the county commissioners and received the $2.8 million in ARPA funding from the federal government. It will pay for all of the equipment, which is about 1.2 million, and it will scale this program up for 3 years worth of staff and training and all aspects of the program. This is the rapid DNA, which is phase 2 cost. I'll get into that in just a second, but as far as the costs go, I know there is in your packet, there is a chart, I think, of all the costs, and Yakima is in there. And we can get you an updated budget because we do have a budget with Yakima out. They have elected not to participate this time, and I know the sheriff will probably have something to say about that. But for the program itself, it just means the workload is much lower because they have a lot of crime in Yakima, and so they would have really taxed our staff. And so now we will write the program that we will scale the program for the people who are in, which is everybody else. And what that means is the organizational group who is deciding what the final details are is the operations board, and the sheriff is the chair of that board, and all the law enforcement officials for all of the participating agencies sit on that board. So they will have that discussion on what's important as the people who decided to participate as a group. So I don't know if you want to say anything more about that, Bob, or if I covered that okay.
I think you did really well on that. The city of Yakima, I think it's a disappointment that they're not going to be involved, but they do have 2 crime analysts. I don't know what they do. We don't see reports. We don't know if it's how effective they are. But 2 things for Yakima to get better should happen. Number one, that their analysts get to the level that ours are going to be, and that they can trade information, or they see the value of our program and just do what we're doing. Fiscally, it makes total sense to go into a regional partnership. But if they want to do it alone and more expensive, I just hope they get to the level that we are, so we have information that's worthy of sharing. Otherwise, like Vicki said, we are moving ahead with everyone that is participating, and there's going to be more than enough work for 2 to 3 analysts, and it's going to be huge. I think this is going to be the game changer for us in the Valley.
Okay, so I have the slide up here about the missing and murdered Indigenous women and people. And the reason why that's on here is because that is a priority of our federal and state agencies. And they are interested in a lot of what we're doing in order to help the nation as well. But Bob and I we've spoken to legislators at both levels. They are interested in what we're doing because we're taking matters into our own hands. And we're actually solving the problem a little bit for the state as well, because their crime lab has been having problems with producing evidence in timely for trial. And they've actually had a case dismissed because they couldn't return the evidence in time. So we're taking matters into our own hands here. I think in the end, the state will be big supporters and possibly help us as well with this program. This is the $2.8 million. I think you do have this in the budget that shows the funding from the county, the $2.8 million. And it shows the staff. We do have 4 staff in this at this time, but what we've decided to do, the operations board will look at the actual budget as soon as everybody's got their contracts through, and we will adjust accordingly, financially adjust accordingly. And we're, of course, going to apply for grants. I can't promise anything, but there's a lot of grant money out there to support crime prevention programs like this. and the state and federal. And how this was structured, just to make it clear, this is the updated one without Yakima in there. It was done by population. So it's the same cost per person. And then it's just based on how many people you have in your jurisdiction, how much it is per year. So it looks like you are $1,839 for 2023.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
On the attachment B, page 36, it shows Yakima in there. Since they're not going to be a part of it, does that change Mapton's amount? That's
It
on.
doesn't. So this is this screen right here. We're going to be sending out a revised budget document for you to see that's based on the cities who did adopt, which will be everybody but Yakima, but it will not change the amount per person. So your population won't change, your amount's not going to change. It's still going to be 0.9314. I can't see the attachment because I don't have the packet, but I think that's the same.
Okay, so the amount's not going to change on our
No.
packet. Whatever's
No,
from
what we're going to
Yakima.
do is we'll adjust the program. The budget will stay the same. So if law enforcement needs to, just like they do their jobs, you know, Bob, if he gets a cut of 5%, he's got to figure out his budget. And all of the law enforcement agencies in the Valley are used to that context. That's what this looks like. So they're going to go into this knowing what the budget is in January, based on all of the councils who did adopt. We'll have the real numbers, and then they'll adjust the program. If that means that we have 3 employees instead of 4, that's going to depend on the workload and how it looks. You know, that may be that's probably the first thing. I don't know, but that's for that board to decide, and I'm just guessing. Bob, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but that's kind of how it will work. You will scale, your board will scale up based on the dollars that are available.
Yeah, you know, we're all used to in this county to working with limited resources. So that's why this project's so important. We can pool what we have, and we'll make sure that it's sustainable. I think that's important. I've talked to commissioners about the same thing. There's a lot of concern. Well, if the city's not playing, that's all right. We'll just scale everything down to meet our needs. It's going to work great.
I think it actually ends up benefiting all of the jurisdictions that are participating quite a bit more, because the $1 million in funding that, if you go by population, would have gone to Yakima for equipment and staffing will actually be spread among everybody else. So you're going to get more bang for your buck for the remaining people who are in. So, and I did put that in my last little thing here saying that we're going to adjust the program, not the cost. So we will never come to you and say, oh, we need, you know, double the money. We're going to adjust the cost, and we're going to stay in touch with you. Of course, we'll be doing reports, and so the chief will be very much part of the team, we hope. And he'll be able to help us as we scale up, but also be receiving the intelligence. Which, Bob, do you want to talk about that part? You know, how that might work as a region?
Yeah, for the intelligence, you know, if there's one big benefit, it's having analysts that would take all the mountains of evidence, or excuse me, information that we already have, because every agency, being it your police department, mine, City of Sunnyside, Grandview, we all share one data system. But all that information is floating around out there, and no one is really putting it together for all of us to use. This is going to be new for us, where we'll be able to put it all together and use it as one. That may be the biggest benefit of all. I mean, the NIBIN's great and the computer forensics is great, but having analysts turning all our information into intelligence, that's the win right there.
So the other thing too that's been discussed in the meetings with the chiefs, and we of course would love to hear from your chief too and his comments, but there's been a discussion of having each jurisdiction put together priorities. So for example, your chief would be able to say, I would like to know, I don't know what he might want to know, what's going on at this location, or, you know, where are my hotspots? What are the questions? He can ask the analysts, and all of the participating jurisdictions will have a list like that they can work with the analysts to develop based on what they want to know about their jurisdiction. It'll be different for everyone. So tonight we do have that resolution and agreement for you, and that's why we're here. But we really also just know you probably have a lot of questions. So we're here. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability.
One question for me is, so everybody that participates has one voice. So everybody that's on the list here will have a voice, correct?
That's right. So that's one of the.
It's not like the sheriff has a voice for all of us. It's every department has a voice in this whole thing, correct?
Yeah, Bob, do you want to talk about how that's one of the cornerstones of this, is that round table where there's one vote.
Right, exactly. And to be honest with you, that's why Yakima is not participating, because they would have one vote, the same as your chief. And I was pretty clear with him, that's not our model, because we want everybody at the table. We want this to work collaboratively. So that's how we're doing it.
Yep. So the sheriff, even though he's the sheriff, is going to be getting the same vote. So it's pretty, I just want to make the observation. I don't know how many sheriffs would be willing to do that. He's the sheriff, the elected sheriff of the county. He's willing to sit at the round table with every jurisdiction, and it truly is collaboration. And so when this is put together, I hope your chief is there and he can say, this is what's important to Mabton. You know, that's the voice. We want everyone in all the cities to have a voice. I don't know if you have any other questions. I can answer about the technical details of the program a little bit. I can tell you where we're at right now. So we got the funding from the commissioners in beginning of November. So we're just 2 months in now to scaling up. We have posted the jobs. We have 3 positions that we posted. One is a manager, intelligence manager. One is a what's it called? I'm trying to remember. Is intelligence analyst, I think, or crime analyst, I think maybe. And then the third one is a lab technician, and that lab technician will be trained to do the ballistic program, the firearms. Those positions have been posted, and we already have applicants for all 3. We're putting together a panel of experts from crime labs and agencies that are not here. We purposely are going out. We have somebody from like the Las Vegas crime lab, I think, or somebody, different people from across the nation who are experts, who will be able to ask the hard questions of our applicants, so that, we find out if they're really truly qualified to do what we're putting together here. We want to make sure those people will screen the applicants, and then those applicants will go before this operations board for approval. So all the chiefs will get to, have a fully vetted candidate to look at and say yes or no. So that is in process right now. And I would expect that we'll be able to hire staff in January and get going, start training. The equipment is ordered. We expect some of it to be happening right away. Some of the computer stuff can happen in the first quarter for sure. We got word from the ATF, which is this long, painful process. That's alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. They manage NIBIN, the firearms program. We won't get that machine until May. But everything else is going to be rolling in the first quarter. So that is what's going on with right now.
Have the headquarters for this.
So the project, I think I heard that, is going to be located in the Zilla substation of the sheriff's office. He's kicked people out of their offices and given us this whole area where we can have 3 staff members. They're going to be isolated from the sheriff's team in their own area, and there will be a separate entrance for law enforcement to come and go from, is my understanding.
My question is, since Yakima isn't going to participate in this, now are they going to be able to utilize the crime lab at a cheaper rate, or are they going to still be sending their stuff to King County?
They, I believe, will be sending stuff into the state and waiting. And I think, Bob, if there's discussion about what would happen with Yakima if they change their mind, or what would happen if they came to us for help, that board will decide. So your chief would have a vote in what to do if Yakima came in and wanted help. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Bob, but that's where it sits right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be what I think or a couple of us. It's going to be the board deciding how we'll manage their request. Obviously, there will still be, and there should be, exchange of information between this new crime lab and the city of Yakima. But I think they're going to see pretty quickly that the level of our information is going to be a lot better than theirs, and they're going to want in. So there's two things we need to be ready for. Number one, that random request because they've had a horrific crime, or we want in, how are we going to do it? That's going to be up to the board to make all those choices.
Any other questions?
Have all the other cities and the county signed the same agreement, except for the city of Yakima, of course, but has all the other entities except for Mabton and the city of Yakima signed the same form of contract?
Yes, there's one council that we couldn't get in. I think in Grandview, we have a presentation in like 10 days, or it's the first week of January, I believe. But I don't get that mail, but that is my understanding, is that it's been through the councils, yes.
And then the federal money is the same regardless of Yakima pulling out or not going in?
Yes, we have a contract with Yakima County and have received half that money already. And that agreement is in place, and it outlined quarterly reimbursements and some other details on how we will have the staff paid for over the term of the contract.
Questions here? Okay, I think you answered the questions that we had over here. Vicki, thank you. And I think the attorney had some questions, and I think you were able to answer those as well, so thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having us come and talk to you. I'm sorry we're not there in person. I had intended to drive down, and boy, my driveway was just not going to cooperate today. So sorry I'm not there.
Thank you, Vicki. Nice seeing you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a good
All right.
evening.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was pretty informational. I mean, I think that's pretty good, because our staff, the chief has to take a few things up our, Spokane, so, and it's a whole day gone, taking them away from city, work and doing stuff here, so.
Yeah, their system is impressive with the state lab. Well, this is going to be identical. It does the same thing, but it's a quick turnaround because there isn't that backlog that the state has. So and then with their mapping and all the other stuff that comes with it, that's impressive what they can do. And it would be helpful for us in Mapton to be a part of that whole system that they're going to have.
So we'll go ahead and go on to E, if there's nothing else you guys want to mention about this. So discussion of the budgetary quote with Vision Municipal Solutions for technical support services for 2023, which is on page 47 through 52. So Vision's the program that we use here for the city of Mapton. And Me and Marty had been talking about maybe switching the program at the beginning of the year to a different program. We're not sure yet, just because of some stuff that's come up. The vision program, you can't do phantom things on that program. So those are things that we don't want happening. So I know when I reached out to MRSC, right, Marty?
Yes.
I had talked to somebody about that, and that program is not really, it's a good program, but it's not a good program because you can do all kinds of things. So I thought maybe if switching it up, but then we have to do, Marty and Michelle would have to take the training, and I mean, they catch on pretty easy anyway. Right, Michelle and Marty?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think if we were to go to a different program, that'd be good, you know. And we need to look into that a little bit more, so I'll do that this week. And maybe change at the beginning of the year, just depending on what it's gonna cost us.
I believe we're in a contract though for a couple of years.
Are we?
Yeah.
So can we pay to get out of that, do you think? We have to look into it, see what's gonna cost us.
Yeah, we can look into it.
And then, and then we can come back and let you know, you know, I think that it would be something good to change. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go on to F, discussion of district court costs for the year 2023, which is on page 41 through 46. So this contract is good through 2025, if I'm correct, buddy?
Yes.
And what are we paying on this?
On 43, you don't have to.
43? So, okay, $19,794.
That's for the budget for the year, yes.
For this, for 2023.
Yes.
Do you know what it was for last year, Maddie?
It did go down, I
It
believe.
did go down?
Yes.
Okay. As long as it went down and it didn't go up.
No, I think it went down.
Okay.
Page 45 has that. It's the bottom.
So I didn't get my packet until I got here, so I wasn't able to get through this. So,
On 46, I think it had 20,000 for. Oh, wait, 20?
So, I see the years there, like 2019, 2020, 2021, 22. So the minimum cost is gonna be about 20,000, right?
Yes.
Any questions? Bill, do you have anything to add?
No.
think back in September, she had estimated it to be about 20,000. And then when I emailed her last week, it was at 19,000.
This will be for the division or for the court costs. Mhm. Any questions? Any questions on this side, Mary Van? Okay. So we'll go ahead and go on to F, or item G, excuse me. Discussion of 2023 daily rate increase for Yakima County Department of Corrections, which is on page 53. Chief, you want to chime in on this?
Anything to do with district or Yakima County Court is all our felony stuff that go up there. Every now and then Sunnyside won't take our misdemeanor cases, so then we gotta drive them up to Yakima County, and that does happen about 50% of the time. But yeah, I think everywhere, everything's increasing nowadays with having to pay the staff, so I see it at 5% increase. But I don't know if there's any way to avoid it.
Are they not taking anybody from other cities or just Mountain?
They do take,
But no.
depending on what city has a contract with them. If it's a felony throughout the county, they'll take any felony cases. Sometimes we'll still take a felony person to Sunnyside, but then Sunnyside charges us. Then they transport them up to Yakima County where they end up before court. With Yakima County, there's no way to avoid it because there's a lot of felonies that get committed, and so there isn't a choice with them. There's nowhere else to go with them, basically. They end up at Yakima County, so.
Any questions? So with that, you want to go ahead?
No, so if it's just a misdemeanor, that means you just take them straight up to Yakima? Is that what you're saying?
Misdemeanor will take them to Sunnyside, but every now and then they have a certain requirement that doesn't, where they won't accept them, and then you call Yakima County, and then a lot of times Yakima County will take them. They have a lot more staff in Yakima County that can deal with, certain issues, mental issue, drug issues, things like that. Sunnyside isn't equipped like Yakima County, so a lot of times about 50% in Sunnyside, they'll take them, and then misdemeanor, the other 50%, we have to take them up to Yakima because there is no other choice. But all felony stuff, felony crime, we do take them to Sunnyside, and then they get shipped up in a van to Yakima County, or sometimes they don't have room, so then we gotta drive them to Yakima County. But all felonies end up at Yakima County in the end. Misdemeanors, they don't always end up over there unless there's no room in Sunnyside.
So Chief, once we take them to Sunnyside and let's say they house them there, and then from there they take them to Yakima after they've already said, okay, leave them here. Do we get charged again for taking them from Sunnyside to Yakima?
I don't believe we get charged a transport fee. We get charged whatever Sunnyside charges us to house them there temporarily. But then once they go to Yakima, then Yakima charges us. So it just depends what jail they're at.
Okay.
And
So then we're getting double charged if they get moved.
well, once they get moved to Yakima, then Sunnyside doesn't charge us anymore. So each one has a different rate.
Okay.
But they have less restrictions in Yakima County because they have more staff to deal with all the different problems they come up with.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and adjourn this meeting, 7:09, and we'll go ahead and take a break. 5 minutes.